Hey everybody, welcome back to the Iron and Oak Sawmills, also known as my backyard. Got a 12-foot Norway spruce here, 29 inches on the big end, 24 inches on the small end, 25 inches on the small end, sorry. And I've had some questions. People see me measuring a log before I get started milling it. What I'm doing in a lot of cases is centering the pith. That's the getting the pith of the log, the very center of the log, the same distance off the bunks on each end of the log. That's what the centering part is. This is a big example of that with this 12-footer here. So, got it loaded. Just have it setting up there. Just took it off. There's one big lump on this end. I didn't want to measure it off of that big knot that's underneath there. You can see it, but I didn't want to measure off of that sitting on a bunk. So no, it's not sitting on any major lumps right now. I could roll it over here. I think I may do that, and we'll set it up from that end. So hold on one second, let me get this thing turned. Okay, we got the log turned. Sorry about that delay. We got those two lumps, knots, on the top of the log up here. So the bottom log is fairly straight. But what we're looking at here is to center the pith as best we can in the log. It also helps alleviate stress. It's also good for when you're doing quartersawn. If you do not have the quartersawn grain all the way down the length of the log, if you didn't center the pith, you'll lose that quartersawn grain at one end of the log or the other, because you're going to go out of that 80 to 90 degree angle. If you don't know about quartersawn, maybe we'll go over that sometime too, but there's plenty of videos out there on that, but there's no videos out that I've found on this, centering the pith. Also keeps the grain of the wood as straight as possible in the lumber. And this one is going to be rafters and wall studs. So you want to have it nice and straight, not an angled grain going through the length of the lumber. Of course, I have it set up that my movable bunks are just at the ends of the log. If you fall that you're too far away from the bunk to get any kind of measurement, you can put a level on it and run that straight across. Not that you have to level it, but just give yourself a straight edge to measure off of. What you're doing is measuring off of the bunks like this. Hopefully I'm getting all this pretty well. To the center of the log, or the pith, which in this case is right about 16 1/8, roughly. But yeah, about 16 1/8. Now, I used to do a lot of machine work, so I might be getting a little bit picky for some folks. Hang on one second. There we go. I had to straighten the tape out. You want to make sure the tape is straight up and down or perpendicular to the bunks, so you're getting a good accurate measurement. Now let's go to the other end and see where we're at. So let's call this 16. Coming down here to the other end, and to make it easier for my camera shot, I'm going to measure off the bunk now. Here we go. Center of the log or pith is at 15 1/4. So we're an inch low on this end, roughly. No, the bunk is not, or the log is not sitting on the bunk. It doesn't have to. What you're looking at is just up from the bunk to the center of the log. That's what we're looking for. And right now we're at 15 1/4. So in this case, with this machine, we have the roller toe boards, which I can use to level the log in the pith, or level the pith to the deck or the bunks. If you don't have that, you can use blocks underneath. You have to lift one end up or the other and put blocks underneath, which I did with my old mill, the LT15. With this mill I don't have to. I have the roller toe boards. One of the advantages of owning this wood miser. So hold on one second. I'm going to see if we make some adjustments here, and we'll recheck the measurements. Okay, made some adjustments. Had to raise the far end of the mill slightly, and did a little closer, I should say, to center. Now this end probably compressed the bark slightly on the bunk, and we are right at 16 now to the center of the log or the pith. Going down to the other end. One second. There we go. And measuring to the pith from the bunk, 16 inches. Okay, now that we have both ends centered, or the pith centered on both ends, we'll go ahead and take a few cuts off the log, like you normally would. Get it down to where you feel you're ready to turn the log. And we're going to turn this 180 degrees, not 90 degrees. I see a lot of guys turn it 90 degrees. They'll take this end, go down to the stops, and start cutting again. With centering the pith, you make your first cuts, turn it 180 degrees, put that end down on the bunks, and make your cleanup cuts on the other side. And you have to remember one very important thing. When you make that turn 180 degrees, be sure to either pull your block out, lower your roller toe board, whatever your situation is that you used, to level or center the pith. So I'm going to go ahead and make a few cuts on this, and we'll be back when that's done. Okay, camera's set up. I'm going to go ahead and make the first couple of cuts off of this. Going to push the boards off onto the loading arms, and then we'll move on from there. Okay, that's one more measurement I forgot to mention, is before I cut from one end of the log to the other, and I'm doing this, I'll measure to the top of the log to let me know where I'm going to come out with my first cut. Don't want to come out halfway down the log and have to, make another cleanup pass. Unless, of course, the taper's really bad and I just want to keep the scrap coming off the log. I'm going to keep it smaller for ease of handling. But this one right about where I'm at, 26 inches, is going to give me a decent cut all the way down through. And give me a good first cut, I should say. So let's get this cut made, and I'll probably make maybe one or two more after that, depending on how it looks. And we'll go ahead and get it turned, but we'll take it from there. Sorry about that. Okay, I wanted to make one more cut, but the edge of the log is sticking out just a little too much to fit through the throat of the saw. And that's not too bad. I was kind of hesitant about making another cut, but I think we're all right there. I got that one board off of it that I'll cut a little off the length, edge it out. Not going to be anything spectacular. It's got some knots along this side of the log, but let's go ahead and get this turned and we'll go from there. Get this set up down here. Sorry, I only have one camera, so any camera works going from one end of the mill, and that's it. So now let's get her rolled over. Open your clamp. Now remember, this is what I see a lot of guys do. They'll turn it this far and start cutting again. Not the way I was taught. You go 180 degrees, which is a full, I say a full half turn, but turn it around to where you just sawed it. Get that down on the bunks, and also remember this before you do anything else. Lower that roller toe board on the ones with the hydraulic toe boards on them. If you drop that log on top of it, you're going to blow the seals out of it. So get them down, get them out of the way. And I should know better than to touch this stuff without gloves. I'm going to end up with sap all over my hands. Alright. And get her turned the rest of the way. She doesn't roll off the mill first. Try that again. Use my clamp to hold it in place until I get the turning claw back down again. There we go. And she's turned. That's why you don't leave your roller toe boards up or anything else. It's going to have the weight of that log dropping. And like I said, this is a big example of what I'm doing here. But toe boards down at the other end. No need to center this side. It's already been done for this direction. So you go ahead, make your cleanup passes on this side, and we'll get it turned 90 degrees from there and make our next measurements. So let's get the camera set up at the other end and go ahead and make our cuts. Let's get those cleanup passes made, and we'll go from there. Okay, as you could tell, because of the size of the log, not something you normally have to do if you're running a smaller log, but because of the size of the log, I had to roll it up and take that one corner off down there. Probably should have taken a little more off on that because it was dragging a little bit. Yeah, it was dragging on that piece of bark that got hung up on it, which got cut off. So that went well. You can tell, nice clean cut there. Got some knots in this end. Clear down here. Anyway, let's go ahead and get it turned, and we'll get it centered up on the other side and go from there. One thing you have to remember with a log this size is with that clamp in the air, if you spin that log and it gets to a point where it's too wide, you're going to jam it up against the clamp, and then you're going to have fun getting the clamp out of there. Getting the clamp out of your way so you can finish turning it. So a good idea to have your clamp down when you don't need it, and just use it if you need it to hold the log in. You know what I mean. So let's go ahead and turn it 90 degrees. Clamp over, get that up there a little bit more. That's up against the stops. Drop our turning claw down. There we go. Now, you have to leave the clamp a little bit loose because you're going to be raising and lowering the log. If the clamp's tight, you're going to mess things up. So you're just fighting against the clamp. So I'm going to go ahead and get things leveled on each end. Okay, we got this one turned. Let's go ahead and get our measurements on each end. See how far off center we are on this end. On this end, 16 1/4. Can't quite get my tape over there far enough. Bunk's a little further under, but 16 1/4 to the center. Now on the far end, we've got, wow, that pith is off center on this one, this direction, that's for sure. 11 1/2. I'm going to go ahead and raise this end up. And I do believe my battery's going dead. We're at 15 down here now. Let me get this straightened down and we'll go from there. Alright, well, we got both ends measured again. They are at about 16 inches from the bunk to the center, or to the pith. Can't say the center of the log because it's not really the center. It's the pith of the log. So they're centered up. I'm going to go ahead and it's going to be the same as the other way. I'm going to make a couple of passes on here, about as far as I'd like to go with it. Get it cleaned up and do a 180-degree flip. Make sure all the roller toe boards or blocks or whatever you're using are down. And go ahead and cut the other side, get that cleaned up. So let's get started. Okay, after some technical difficulties with my phone / camera, we're back on. And I've got an almost dead battery, so I think we're going to change this to called leveling the pith, because actually you're not centering it until you take the cuts to make it centered. But from end to end, the pith is at this end about 8.5. On the near end, what I call the near end, it is about 8.5. Yep. That's from top on one end, top on the other end. Now, coming over from this side, 11 3/4 roughly to the pith. On the far end, where are we at here? Here we go. Get all lined up there. 11 3/4. There we go. Get it lined up. 11 3/4 to the pith. And of course from the bottom it's the same thing. Not the same, but it'll be the same on both ends. About 8 1/4 on this end, 8 1/4 on the far end. Don't believe me? Let's go look. There we go. 8 1/4 on that end. On this end, 8 1/4 roughly. And on this, we are at, sorry about this one-handed camera work while measuring. Not good. On this end, about 9 to the pith. Yeah, like you wanted to see that ugly mug. And on this end, about 9 to the pith. There we are. So we were in the same boat from end to end. So even up all the way around. That's how you level the pith. Not center the pith, level the pith. What I would do now is take equal cuts to try to even up those measurements from top to bottom and right to left. The right should match the left, top should match the bottom. Even them up, then start taking cuts to make boards. But the grain is as straight as it's going to get in this log from end to end, which will keep your boards more stable from end to end. That's the way I do it. That's the way it works for me. So, just wanted to show everybody else how I do it. Hey, we're up over 900, almost 950 subscribers, so thank you very much. Really do appreciate that. And next project out here at the mill, I don't know, we're just going to be milling some lumber, I think, out of all these Norway spruce and pines we have back here. So we're going to get cleaned up for the night. Thank you for stopping in. Really appreciate all the subscribers. Like, share, and subscribe, of course, if this is your first time here. And we'll see you next time out.